Takuma is not your average shut-in. He's the real deal who has cut all relations with the outside world. Thanks to this, he became the Demon Lord in the famous MMORPG game Cross Reverie. Life was going normal for him until two opposite-sized hotties summoned him into another world similar to the game to enslave him. However, his OP status reflects the spell, creating his own harem. His character stats, skills, and magic artifacts are now at his fingertips. With that, Diablo, the new Demon Lord, goes on an adventuring journey with domestic problems. Pixel warriors and bookworms equally know about the futuristic MMORPG Cross Reverie. Takuma usually pulls an all-nighter every time. He plays Diablo, the legendary demon with unrivaled gear and magic power. However, Diablo is a pretty laid-back dude since things like loot don't arouse him. He gets pissed off and punishes players when a couple bring their domestic bullshit into the game. He never thought that a shut-in demon lord like him would magic hop into an Isekai'ed world due to two bombshells messing up a spooky ceremony. He stands there regarding not setting his keyboard status to AFK. In meantime, the elf bombshell Shera with her big plot claims credit for summoning him. However, Rem the speed bum queen says otherwise. As the two of them continue to fight, Diablo realizes they are standing on Star Tower where you summon rare familiars. It dawns on him that this is Cross Reverie in a virtual reality, but talking to girls is impossible for him in any world. In fact, he doesn't remember talking to anyone besides the girls who foolishly challenged him in the game. Diablo uses those references to command the girls to make up. They straight up refuse like spoiled rich brats from the ghetto. However, a strange magical aura forces them to comply. Suddenly, Slade's collars appear there, making them do forced fan service. On their way back, Rem claims that she added the enslavement spell in the magic circle. Diablo, being an OP character, remembers that his Demon Lord's ring deflects all magic at the user, turning the girls into personal cosplayers. The girls introduce themselves with "I don't care about your bum" vibe. This antisocial gamer with literally zero game tells the girl about his true identity, hoping they will show some respect. Shera is just glad that her first summon wasn't a slime but an actual Demon Lord. They enter the Peace of Mind Inn where a sweet receptionist who's just finished watching the latest Barbie asks for their information. Shera and Rem fight over who's going to stay with their summon, while Diablo is freaked out because he has no experience in Netflix and chill. The sweet smiley cat goes from Barbie to Maleficent pretty quick and gives them a room with one bed. Diablo fast forwards a few seconds, realizing there will be cultured stuff becoming a reality. Suddenly, a middle-aged expired woman, Celestine Baudelaire, enters the room like she owns the place. After her introduction, Diablo realizes she is a high-level NPC in the game who is the head of the Magic Association in charge of keeping the sea barrier in check. She wanted to discuss some stuff with the girls, but the tables have turned drastically. At the dinner table, Shera's gravity-defying milkers jiggle in every direction with their sound effect, distracting everyone. After entering the zone, Celestine politely requests Diablo to dispel the collars. However, he claims his intention wasn't to make them do fan service as the reflection magic activated on its own. Diablo takes a condescending tone when asking Celestine's original reason for her visit, pissing off the low-level background character. He doesn't know why this guy is tripping for no reason, as he just asked a simple question. Unfortunately, Diablo's unintentional demon Riz just takes over when he opens his mouth. As a creature of habit, he threatens the poor dude, making him step back. Celestine reveals that her business is with Rem. She wishes to take her back to the association, claiming her existence is crucial for humanity. However, she likes to spit in the face trying to help her. Rem refuses to comply with her requests since living on her own means new experiences like doing Riz stuff for a demon lord. She accepts her choice and wants to lend a hand in solving the enslavement issue. After she leaves, Diablo's gamer's senses start tingling. He knows sticking his nose into NPC business is the way to progress the plot. He carries Rem by the waist and throws her on the bed like he means business. Upon refusing to reveal the truth, Diablo gets on top of her and threatens to torture her. Rem asks if he intends to clap her like a slave. Until this point, he didn't even realize that this option existed. He was so focused on fast-forwarding the plot that his mind forgot about side plots. Diablo feels bad for touching her open body, so instead he goes for her ears. Ultimately, Rem gives into his fast CPM hands, rubbing all over her body, and agrees to reveal the truth. She asks if he will stay even if the truth is far worse than anyone ever expected. As a demon lord, he promises to accept the truth as part of her. But first, he sticks his tongue into places that make her climax. Her screams reach downstairs where the waiter diverts Shera's intentions, informing her that her friend is being wasted by a demon. She will look at what's happening after eating a bowl of meat, This makes everyone question if she's on the Force or the dark side. In the room, she reveals her body contains the most powerful demon Lord Krebskalm inside her body. The soul will be released once she dies. She aims to become a powerful adventurer and exterminate the soul of the Demon King. Judging by how everyone treats her, he assumes that only Celestine and he know the truth. Otherwise, any Tom, Dick, and Harry would want her death. Unexpectedly, she reveals that her mother was the previous Jinchuriki of the Demon King, making it buff from birth. Diablo understands the issue and promises to deal with the threat, making her weep tears of joy. Diablo enjoys his me time, cursing the developers for the plot twist. At that moment, the Magic Association lackeys come to take their revenge. Gallic the Drunken Head throws a bottle on his back and then talks about showing respect. This one brain cell NPC summons a level 30 scaly flamethrower to roast the Hell Spawn. His own men can't believe that Gallic would summon a beast like Salamander in the city. The fire attack doesn't faze Diablo as his level is 150. Without hesitation, he orders Salamander to attack at full power, but Diablo's resistance to magic makes him invincible. He casts an explosion spell, incinerating the dragon into nothingness. This makes him realize that all of those suckers who told him gaming won't bring him anything was just bullshit. Diablo wakes up after a sound nap, realizing that yesterday was no Alice in Wonderland. Suddenly, he feels his hand moving on some kind of gelatin, but it turns out to be Shera's talent. His left hand betrays him after being a lone warrior for so many nights, refusing to come off her chest. At the same time, his right goes for Rem's flower bud, waiting for the right moment to bloom. He enjoys both, assuming they are a gift from God for living like a shut-in. Seconds later, Shera jolts awake feeling wet down there. She screams and quickly moves to the side, claiming those belong to her. He can't touch them unless she is accepted as her master. In the meantime, Rem wakes up from the fuss and goes all red from him touching her buds. Diablo takes his condescending tone and says they are small but perky. Diablo finds all kinds of hotties from dwarfs to beast folk on the streets, but oddly no humans. Shera informs him that humans live in different cities as they don't work well with them. Diablo then mentions the world's leveling up system. Shera chimes in, saying her level is unknown. Still, she believes that it will be above 50. Rem agrees with her, but it depends on what they are measuring. As a level 40 mage, she believes she is just a scrub. At the guild, Diablo orders his elf to fill up his info. He is forced to leave a blood stamp at the end, but ends up slicing the whole finger off. All the guild seducers who like to let their assets out into the world give him that look. Nonetheless, the guild lady asks Shera to continue the assessment by placing her hand on the wall and channeling magic into it. She creates a reflection all the way to her assets, which tells the guild lady that her skills are at level 30. As she whines about being talented, Diablo steps forward and places his hand on the mirror. His magic channeling fudges up the mirror in ways never seen before. When the whole building starts to shake, a speed bump bunny girl who needs more milk shows up. Sylvie asks who played loud rock music in the middle of the day. After seeing a demon casually standing in her guild, she asks to talk privately. Sleeve looks at her blood-filled form and realizes he's a monster in his own right. Unfortunately, she can't enlist the three of them as adventurers without knowing their power levels. She can't just hire someone who can pop her head with one shot and take over the guild now, can she? Diablo understands her POV but claims shit won't hit the fan until Sylvie pays them for the quests and bounties. They both agree to these terms and start picking out a quest. Sylvie comes across an oddball from the Magic Association, asking for some snake eyes from the man-eating woods. They walk to the forest until Diablo's leg gives out. He knows Shera is carrying a lot of baggage on her chest, forcing him to suggest teleportation. Rem listens to him ranting about fairy tale stuff like portals and claims she will kill herself if this continues. She is already having a hard time coping with Shera's bags. Eventually, Diablo and the girls enter the swamp area of the man-eating wood where the snake is normally found. Shera asks a dumb question, which is her habit now, wanting to know why they didn't see any other people on the way. Rem claims that most people only come here to off themselves. However, the overgrown elf with underdeveloped brain cells claims people are hiding in the trees. Diablo gets his guard up just in case and casts multiple fireballs in Shera's direction. This is the first time the girls witnessed our boy going hardcore with magic. Unexpectedly, elves fall from the tree like leaves. The leader of the battalion ironically commands Diablo to free the noble princess of their kingdom. At that moment, he remembers that Greenwood is the royal family of elves. He claims the royal family and the kingdom are worried about her. Shera screws the family and kingdom who wants to sell her body to some creep with an hair fetish. The commander makes a logical point, reminding her she's already selling her body to the macho man standing beside her. Shera boldly claims that she's no one's slave, impressing Rem. She knows how hard it must be for a rich kid to live in inns like a homeless person. At this point, Diablo tells the elven elite forces about their major fudge-ups. Number 1, they called him a slave trader, something you never do to a badass demon lord even if you have immortality. Secondly, Shera is far from powerful. I mean, her assets alone can rizz up the most OP demon lord. Their third and fatal mistake was to make an enemy out of a MC with infinite plot armor. The elven commander shoots a graphic arrow that even scrubs run from using. Diablo literally asks if they use this kind of shit against demons. The commander answers his question by using a legendary Tempest arrow. Shera screams his name like in the bedroom. However, Diablo is unfazed as it is the most common arrow in the game. Afterward, Rem makes a face saying that just happened, but Shera laughs excitedly. Angered, Diablo casts a wide-range freezing spell, turning the whole man-eating forest into Antarctica. The Vigid elves against using wool in their clothes regret listening to those girls on Piers Morgan's show. Suddenly, Gallic emerges from the shadows in a black coat, asking if they really are an elite group of elves. He caught up early on that a certain background character created this side quest using the Magic Association's name. Despite this, Gallic claims he just let the elves know the princess was getting clapped by a 6-foot-tall ripped demon. This time around, Diablo shows mercy and lets him off the hook only if Gallic refrains from blunders. In the meantime, Shera, who just now conveniently remembers she holds authority over the dumb NPCs, tells them to pass a message to his brother. She will not come back home and remain with her companions, making Diablo blush. On that note, she goes and teases Rem for liking and her being impressed. At night, she and Diablo kick an awkward convo which turns dark as fast as Supra. She wants to know if he will choose Rem due to her Demon King problem. She tightly hugs him and pushes him, claiming she needs him inside her as well. Accidentally, Diablo falls on the bed, and his hand with mastered Ultra Instinct grabs their favorite melons. He remembers who the Demon King is and has some fun with her. Soon, the party popper Rem arrives, turning the whole thing upside down. Meanwhile, Adelgard, the strongest lancer in the Fallen Academy, awakens, ready to bring back the real Demon King. Simultaneously, Sylvie calls her star BTS adventuring party to her office. She reveals that requests have been popping up for Diablo, especially from the ladies. Celestine personally gave her a super simple request to make up for Gallic's mistakes. The reward is so crazy that it feels like a cryptopump. Rem quickly back outs from this quest, claiming she doesn't want to owe favors to a Seuss character like Celestine. Sylvie agrees that delivering snacks to the Checkpost doesn't need 3 adults. Diablo allows her selfish request on a condition that she won't go rogue and leave the city. Upon leaving the guild, they come across Emil, the strongest adventurer in their city who views himself as Madonna, with cringe poses from Fortnite. He challenges Diablo for the freedom of the girls. Just to be clear, if feminism and Rainbow had a face, it would be him. Diablo, being the top G, accepts his challenge with grace to show him what a real manhood really means. The fight of the century begins with a weak stance that speaks of pay inequality. Diablo wonders why he is using the stance which has been destroyed so many times. He knows that activists like him use this attack for its speed boost to get in close quarters. Players then cancel out the slash and hit with a different attack like women are better than men. Unexpectedly, he makes a rookie for someone who considers them a veteran by not canceling the attack. Diablo stops at one hand and asks why he didn't switch. Emil rudely awards all the questions like they usually do and goes from another move. However, Diablo knows his plan and takes time to activate, and so he just smacks the shit out of him before it happens. Emil gets back up with a variety of responses, but the girls clear the whole OPSI and explain this situation to Emil. After wasting time over him, Diablo and Shera carry their refreshments to the checkpost outside the city. On their way, she gets frisky and tries to sue him into swimming, but David Goggins over here says their quest is more important than having fun. Upon reaching the checkpost, the men mistake Diablo for a fallen due to his horns, which by the way are just an item. Luckily, the gossip train saves them when Boris, a low-ranking soldier, tells his dudes that Diablo is the famous horned demon with 2 hot slaves. Shera informs them the guild sent refreshments to the checkpost. Boris says there is reason they suspected Diablo to be a fallen. Unexpectedly, there are 100 fallen coming to storm the checkpost. He knows that fallens are high-level bosses who don't fight in a group, but realizes that it might be a side event that wasn't in the actual game. Shera asks how they will help out the men and stop the fallen from getting their hand, paws, or whatever on Rem. However, Diablo mentions their duty is over. Plus, the fallen can't enter the city due to Celestine's barrier, so everything is fine. At that moment, Boris arrives with a letter of appreciation, confirming that their package was delivered. Their men have decided to stay and hold off the army until all the farmers and travelers have entered the city. He wants to live his last day alive doing the right stuff. Diablo sees his hand trembling from fear and announces they will live on. He steps onto the ground, ready to defend the checkpost. On the other hand, a receptionist calls out Rem, saying that Celestine is here to meet her for unknown reasons. Back on the checkpost, Diablo asks Shera and Boris to step back and lower the gates. Boris thinks he must be drunk for taking on an army of 100 fallen without any backup. At the same time, the army led by Edelgard marches on ambitiously. Shera convinces Boris that Diablo can handle his balls, forcing him to lower retreat and lower the gate. Before going back, she tells him to be careful. This is the first time someone ever showed consideration for him, pumping him so much that Diablo is ready to take on the strongest of monsters. He takes a step forward to declare himself the protector of these lands. The giant orc comes to tease out this theory, claiming his one punch would off him. Diablo scores a home run on that thing with one shot. He will massacre everyone who pisses him like it's happening in the real world. Meanwhile, Celestine tells Rem that Gallic has been laid off from his job as her right-hand man, which she used for other purposes. However, she heard from him that Diablo called himself a demon lord from another world. She knows many worlds and there aren't any demon lords there. Unfortunately, she thinks that Diablo is a fallen who's after the demon king's soul inside Rem. Naturally, she calls her bluff, revealing he had a lot of chances to snap her. But instead, he agreed to help her defeat the demon king. However, she refrains from spilling the beans over Celestine. God knows what group she's in now at that age. Suddenly, Gallup barges into the room for kicking the bucket and not doing his mic duties right. He wants Mommy to forgive him, but Celestine says otherwise. He takes out a shady-looking dagger which creeps out Rem. She summons her shadow snake to stop him from committing suicide. However, an eye appears on the dagger and stabs Gallic. The fallen Gregor takes over his body, successfully infiltrating the city. On the other hand, he easily wipes out 70 fallen, but his MP starts to run low. Seconds later, Edelgard gets down from her beast and steps onto the bridge. Diablo appreciates her taking the initiative to step down. However, she claims her beast didn't move a muscle after seeing him. He intends to defeat her, hoping the army would retreat. The locals spread the news about the fallen army on the checkpost, but they are not worried as Celestine's barrier will keep them safe. In the inn, Gregor thanks her gullible right-hand man for giving him a business-class seat in the city. He is totally impressed by her ability not to sense fallen sneaking into her house, which would have made it hard for her to cheat. She knows only Gallic can be stupid and brazen enough to pull a stunt that would put Tom Cruise to shame. However, her men believe it must be a trick. They die to let Rem and Celestine escape from the inn. Rem tightly holds her hand and runs through the city. Unfortunately, she makes a wrong turn, leading them to a dead end. Gregor confidently signs their death warrant, but Rem has some fight left. She summons an enormous bull that pushes back the fallen. However, pushing him back a little is only what it can do. Gregor crushes it and forces the summon to return to the other dimension. When hope seems lost, Emil jumps into the scene from above to defend the honor of women. He lands multiple strikes on his body, but none of them make a dent. Gregor claims himself to be the strongest sorcerer from the man-eating woods. Emil uses a swordsmith against the fallen, but his metallic hands block it. Gregor laughs and explains that his physical strength is on par with magic. He casts dark bullets to deal life-threatening damage. The girls get the whole "I want to save women" act, but advise him to stay down. However, Emil stands up due to his pride as an adventurer. On the other hand, the fight between Edelgard and Diablo leaves everyone shocked. She swings her sword masterfully, but her attacks fail to connect. She's in full-on beast mode while Diablo casually assesses her powers, guessing she's about level 80. Edelgard, pushed into a corner, activates the skill Sacrificial Charm. Diablo knows it is a skill that uses a wielder's hit points to increase their attack power. He believes Edelgard's morale will improve if her ultimate attack fails. His condescending tone returns as Diablo boldly stands still to take the attack head-on. She strikes him multiple times, making Shera think that Diablo is broken. However, he casually cracks his neck and says that the attack was alright. Edelgard and the audience up top are amazed by his abilities. But this is the first time Diablo took some real damage, making his body hurt. He clarifies the difference in their ability, hoping she will retreat. Unexpectedly, one of the soldiers informs him about a fallen attacking Celestine, leaving him shocked. Shera also tells him that Rem is with her. For a lizard brain, Edelgard thinks Gregor can be smart at times. He realizes the fallen plans to kill Celestine to undo the barrier and storm the city. Diablo tells the soldiers to retreat if they don't wish to die. Before casting Grand Magic, he offers Edelgard a chance to escape with her life. She claims her life is not of concern, as her mission is to revive the Demon King while destroying humanity in the process. Diablo says there is no other Demon Lord beside him, shocking Edelgard. He unleashes the Grand Magic spell, destroying the bridge and leaving a large crater in the ground. After seeing his power, Edelgard wishes Diablo had already told her he was the demon lord before the fight. He goes to Shera and uses return magic to teleport back to town. Meanwhile, Rem asks Emil to stop risking his life for them. He claims his life purpose would be fulfilled if the two maidens lived on. Honestly, Gregor can't believe Emil wasn't killed by someone for pissing him off. But that changes today. Unexpectedly, Diablo appears at the scene with a powerful wind spell. Rem shows an attitude of being weak, asking why he is late. He tells her to shut it since the demon lord isn't on her payroll. He compliments Emil for holding out this long and tells him to rest up. Before going to battle, Diablo hands a healing potion to Celestine and asks her to take care of the fallen hero. He then looks at Gregor, concluding he's a warrior and a sorcerer. Gregor claims Diablo and his lackeys will be destroyed. However, he reveals that Edelgard won't be coming to bail his bum. He already dealt with the trash at the border. Plus, his life won't be spared in their upcoming battle, so the future is irrelevant for him. Gregor attacks him with dark bullets, but is reflected due to the Demon Lord Ring's effect. He uses dark bullets to give Gregor a taste of his own medicine. But Diablo tells him not to cry since his spells are nothing special. The Fallen, now pushed into a corner, casts a gravity spell which is reflected again. They can't believe that his lizard brain can't comprehend information. Diablo magnifies his spell by stacking it on top of each other, making him beg for mercy. Unfortunately, he had already put a disclaimer at the start of the battle. Diablo sends his soul away to a dimension of darkness to get tortured for eternity. Shera hugs him and cries her balls out for his well-being. Rem holds his hands and says her doubts about his intentions have been cleared. She believes that Diablo will save her no matter the cost. Obviously, the Demon Lord with no game can't handle the emotional rants. He claims that she is her possession and even the Demon King can't harm her. Rem understands and makes peace with this reality. Shera gives him the puppy eyes, asking if she belongs to her as well. Diablo knows she's saying something, but his mind can't sidetrack from looking at her mommy milkers. In the aftermath of the battle, the townspeople gather at the funeral of their fallen companions. Diablo realizes this world is nothing like the game. In this world, there are no salvation spells or resurrection potions, forcing him to accept the bitter truth. However, the townspeople didn't give up hope even after surviving a devastating situation. He accidentally dozes off and hits his head on Rem's iron chessboard, causing him to faint. As for him, Shera intends to wake Diablo with a bit of a massage. She jumps on him and feels that her tool is completely awake. Suddenly, Rem barges into the room and throws her off him. But Shera doesn't hold back and hugs him with her assets, drowning his arm. Rem does the same thing, but Diablo feels that 2 of her ribs will pierce through her skin. However, for a shut-in gamer wasting his right hand, this isn't a bad situation. Unexpectedly, Sylvie enters the room, claiming the guild accepted a request from the Elven Kingdom. They demand Diablo to return to Shera, otherwise a war will be on their hands. Diablo questions if she is asking him to return Shera to the Elven Kingdom. She rewinds her tape and says they don't want to make an enemy out of the guy who defeated an army of failure. She rephrases her sentence, saying the quest is to stop the war by any means necessary. To sum it up, Sylvie gives a recap of the situation. She reveals the lord of their city has received a request from the Elven Prince to return Shera in 10 days, otherwise the Bullet Fest is in their hands. They know it's crazy, as the lord and Sylvie are in a mess due to this situation. Diablo can't believe her brother will pull such a stunt even after Shera has said otherwise. Sylvie says they need to clear out this mess without waging World War III, so creativity is key. But from someone who talks like Mr. Bean, stopping a war is like vegans eating meat. Sylvie informs them about a fun fact that involves Shera's brother, Kira L. Greenwood. He placed a large sum of bounty on her head. The amount can allow any peasant to whack off for the rest of his days. The utter greed of the bratty prince lights a fire in his belly. He declares that no one can come to take his possession. He tells Shera to roam free in the streets, claiming no one has the balls to touch her. Rem reminds him that the Elven Kingdom would disagree with him. Before jumping to conclusions, Diablo wants more infotainment on the topic. He wishes to speak with the Lord directly. On their way, Sylvie reveals the Lord is the city's hero. Chester Ray Galford fought when the Demon King was free. He realizes that this guy will be a tough nut to crack. Sylvie agrees with him, advising them to put their game face on. Unfortunately, Galford turns out to be much more than a tough crowd. His presence would be like Jamie Oliver on an Uncle Roger stand-up. Sylvie tries to break the ice, but her efforts are futile. Galford can't believe the new generation of adventurers doesn't know that time is money. She claims they need more information about the quest, but Galford has already informed them all there is. With a long sigh, he stands up and introduces himself with title. The girls take a few seconds to blur out their names, but Diablo stays silent cause he wants to pee his demon pants. Galford addresses him directly and asks if he is the self-proclaimed Demon Lord. Trying not to fudge up his vocabulary, Diablo affirms his statement and says he's here to hear him out. His condescending hood style shocks everyone, but Diablo's flowing with juices to say something normal. Nonetheless, Galford puts everyone's attention on the map behind them. He informs them about the layout of the kingdom. He reveals the elven kingdom has control over the forest in the east. They have approximately 100 men in their army. They don't know what Galford is smoking for getting scared of 100 people. However, Galford claims that elves master the art of guerrilla war. 300 men can kill his soldiers, which is not acceptable. Diablo realizes Galford is going to use him as a sacrificial pawn. Galford reminds him everything will be over if he just be a good dog and return the meat sack. At this point, he wants to know why Shera would abandon her life of luxury to be on someone's beach. Aside from the slave collar, she wants to live independently and achieve something in her life besides her royal bloodline. Galford understands her POV but doesn't emphasize it. Diablo speaks up, saying they are not looking for empathy. They choose their own paths and put however much effort on it, fulfilling the true meaning of freedom. He will not let anyone touch his meat sack. After their decision is final, Galford reveals an Imperial Knight from the King's army will accompany them on the journey. Alicia Christella enters the room, surprising everyone. Normally, female Imperial Knights are real in this world. No wonder elves can threaten them with 100 men. She is the opposite of Diablo in communication skills. She quickly comes up with Rem by offering to be a listener. And then she sympathizes with Shera's cause for an independent life. Alicia flustered Diablo by asking his permission to accompany them on the journey. His unnatural demon lord stuff takes over, saying she can do whatever the hell she wants. However, he tells her to mind her language when talking to him in the future. On the streets, she asks the point of roaming the streets. They want to know if he wants to storm the angry elves. Diablo shuts the whining, explaining he wants to buy a new weapon. Rem reminds him that no blacksmith could make something stronger than his magic staff. Unbeknownst to them, he wants to find a low-ranking weapon to hold back his strength. The noob scrubs won't choose the weapons common in this world. He wants something that will not kill someone accidentally. After making a quick trip to the store, Diablo buys a customized death scythe perfect for a man of his stature. On that note, he plans to restock on ingredients for the magic potion, since it's better to be safe than sorry. Shera runs off excited like a kid, but Alicia warns her not to stray far. Suddenly, a smoke ball triggers at her feet to kidnap Shera. Her struggles pump Diablo into swinging his death scythe to clear the smoke. He attacks the bounty hunters from the opposite end and ensures they are alive. In the meantime, Alicia and Rem take care of the trash, telling him to save Shera. Diablo uses his fastest moving technique to move through the streets like the Flash on steroids. He chases down the two bunny brothers hopping around with Shera on their back. However, Emil appears out of nowhere to save maidens in distress. He does his cringe intro with a motto that's too old. As everyone unites, they wonder how Emil shows up whenever women are in trouble. The creep show claims that girls sweat when they are in danger. He can smell their sweat and follow them. Diablo and the others advise him to drop the cringness. But Emil says it was a joke, obviously. Sylvie informed him about the bounty on Shera's head, which made him worry about her. After he leaves, Diablo tells Shera to stay close to him. This overgrown meat sack teases him, asking how close she needs to be. She takes full advantage of the situation to push her chest onto his arms. Rem gets jealous and sneakily hugs him without anyone noticing. Alicia apologizes to them for her carelessness. She will do anything to make up for the inconvenience. Diablo hates this uptight personality, and so he orders her to take a chill pill. Suddenly, they hear someone's stomach growling. Shera asks if Diablo is hungry, but the sound is from Alicia, who gets embarrassed, leading to a nice laugh. Later that day, Celestine joins Diablo at the inn and informs them about the possibility of their slave collars being removed. The girls scream excitedly, but Celestine pops their bubble since nothing is confirmed. Alicia chimes in, reminding them that a potential war with the Elven Kingdom is critical. Diablo agrees with her, but ridding the girls of their collars is equally important. Plus, he can easily handle the elves and their sister fetish, so they can spare a few minutes. Celestine gives them the location of a slave market where the owner can help them with the issue. Diablo's heart is about to pop through his pants thinking about the slave market for manga. Unexpectedly, there are no girls drinking vanilla juice inside the open house. Instead, they look happy with their collars. Maybe it's just a lowball to a marketing gimmick which is working. The owner of the slave market, Meteos, with a rack size surpassing 106, greets them. She loves Diablo's slaves and offers to buy them. He shuts her down, revealing they are not slaves. Meteos notices that Diablo is tanking some pretty high magic. Shera affirms her point, revealing that people shit their pants when Diablo enters the room. The boss bitch can't believe Shera has the power to see magic flow. Rem is confused as she never mentioned anything of the sort before. Meteos scans Rem from head to toe only to find an aggressive amount of magic leaking from her belly. She asks if his naughty slave is pregnant with her master's child. Shera lifts the roof of the building, calling Rem a sneaky slut for hooking up with her future husband. Logistics aside, Meteos claims the magic overflowing from Rem belongs to a fallen. Diablo shut her up and reminded her about their original objective. She asked the extra audience to leave so her trade secret is protected. Rem also wants to leave the room because it's at that time of the month. She is worried about Shera knowing her secret. However, her blindness is Rem's blessing as Shera considers her a strong adventurer because of the overflowing magic. Outside, Rem quietly sits down with her face down. Alicia saw how judgy Meteos was inside. She was trying to sneak into their heart to uncover everyone's insecurities. Rem can't believe an Imperial Knight as perfect as Alicia would have insecurities. The two promise to lock their secrets with a simple tradition from Alicia's home. As Rem closes her eyes, she creates a magic circle that unveils a powerful seal, making her gassed. However, she recovers from the situation by making up a lie. Back inside, Meteos helps Shera remove everything except her collar. She wants Diablo to feel her soothing skin to see the flow of magic inside. He hesitantly pokes around, forcing her to make sounds you search for in incognito mode. The boss asks if they need a room or something. He comes back to the ground and imagines his wand lying on the bed instead of Shera. This helps him sense the flow of magic inside her body. Meteos instructs him to continue and find the part where the magic power is concentrated. Of course, that part is her heavenly pair. Diablo gets his hand on those jugs and squeezes them like fresh lime, successfully finding the flow. Meteos, the kinky slave trader, tells him to go lower and put his magic tool inside her tunnel. He goes deeper and deeper as time passes to break her seal. Just like that, Diablo pours all of magic into her, making Shera beg for more. However, in the end, they fail to remove the collar. He explains that this type of spell is complicated. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. You must separate each needle to find the right thread of magic. But Diablo can only stay inside her for so long. Rem changes the topic, asking Alicia if she needs a place to crash. Immediately, he is flustered by this since his current state can't handle 3 women at once. Luckily, she booked a room beside them so everything is cool. Suddenly, they overhear a flute sound coming closer to them. Shera stands up and recognizes the sound. Unexpectedly, her older brother Kira, the blondie with the sister fetish, enters the room. Diablo stands between him and Shera, confirming if he's the psycho brother who placed a bounty on her. Kira appreciates them taking out the bounty hunters, claiming he intended to reward the people for protecting his sister. Alicia chimes in, quoting his exact words about waging war with the humans if Shera is not returned within 10 days. He claims their father was upset for her and spewed some nonsense nobody cared about. Shera doesn't fall for the loving big brother who points it out loud. He apologizes for his lack of attention towards her little sister's feelings. He has realized that Shera takes priority over the damned kingdom. Rem doesn't know who the real Kira is behind this facade, but one thing is for sure. They will not let Shera leave with him without consent. He promises to leave if Shera decides to stay with them. However, Kira wants to know what actions Diablo will take if she wants to go back. Despite knowing it's a bunch of bull crap, Diablo assures him that Shera can choose freely. In the middle of the night, Rem can't sleep due to anxiety. She finds Shera standing near the window in her night suit. She tells her to close the window, otherwise she will catch a chill. Rem unexpectedly stands with her for a chat. She starts by asking about her decision for tomorrow. Shera does not want to return home. She made that choice when leaving that shitty place with no bathrooms. Still, Rem is confused by Kira's gentlemanlike attitude. Shera doesn't know if her brother is lying or not. However, hearing him play the flute reminded her of memories from back home. The two try to keep it down and not wake Diablo. Unbeknownst to him, he can't sleep with his mind thinking about Shera's decision. Rem then asks what she will do after the mess is sorted. Shera wants to continue adventuring and open a cafe. She dreams of a place where everyone can eat, drink, and have fun. She also wants Rem to work as a waitress, whereas Diablo will shine glasses, a pretty low point for the demon lord. Her dream aside, Rem can't understand why Shera would want to live with them. Shera claims they are her first friends after leaving the elven kingdom. At this point, they are more of a family to her than that brother with a sister complex. Rem reveals that her future is uncertain due to a major plot twist, so her future is looking shady at the moment. Shera says that Diablo will fix whatever problem comes their way like he's the genie. Rem agrees to work at her cafe after the problem is solved. Shera starts stroking her tail and does the things Diablo did to her at the slave market. The shaking of the bed makes it impossible for Diablo to fall asleep. Back in his childhood days, Diablo met a few kids from the hood who played the game with him. He shared his legendary gear with them and formed a party. One day, he excitedly runs to the park only to overhear them talking smack about him. Those kids were just using him to get good gear. But no, the joke is on them, cause Diablo wakes up with Shera's racks sucking the air out of him and Rem stabbing her ribs. After freshening up, Rem plans to tell Sylvie and Celestine about their Psycho Brothers' situation. In the meantime, Alicia takes up the responsibility of reporting to Galford. Before leaving, they ask Shera to stay with Diablo as some bounty hunters are still hunting her for the Elven Kingdom. She takes their advice to heart and hopes everything will be over once her brother accepts the outcome. As a wise king, he does not want to wage war but must be prepared for it. Diablo sets his eyes on brewing potions from the game. However, it isn't as simple as clicking the screen. Suddenly, his eyes glance at Shera's 2 bonkers. They are like a 9-pound jelly in a 2-pound bag. Somehow, the potion in his hand automatically finishes brewing. He realizes that if his mind is focused on Shera's mommy milkers, his body brews the potions due to muscle memory. Shera is impressed that someone can brew potions in a flash. He tells her to focus on her hams while his focus will be on her you-know-what. Diablo continues eyeing her out in the doggy-style position and mass-producing potions. For the first time, she catches him letting off a gentle smile. Otherwise, his face looks like he's about to choke a kitten. He is all flustered and embarrassed, claiming it was a lip stretch. Eventually, it dawns on him that he never smiled once after coming to this world. Diablo lets his emotions slip out, insisting that moments like these should last forever. She is glad that he shared his feelings before his tool. Shera starts his sentence with I, but Kira's flute off something inside her head. She stands near the door and tells him something has been weighing on her mind. She thinks it's high time to quit acting like a brat and return home. She wants to stay with her loving family. Kira reminds Diablo of their promise to respect Shera's decision. He stands there doing nothing while she leaves. At the same time, Rem and Alicia come back from their mission. They ask why he is wearing the pouty pants. He tells them about the situation and goes to bed. Rem indeed enters the room but hears him crying, leaving her confused. At night, Rem enters his room and finds him on the bed. She wants to know if Shera is under a manipulation spell. Diablo confirms her suspicions since something inside Shera changed when Kira played the flute. However, he doesn't want to investigate due to the fear of rejection. Rem can't understand their situation. Shera wanted them in her unrealistic but cute dream. However, now she's gone. Nonetheless, she will rescue her from the Elven Kingdom. Diablo yells at her, asking her why. Rem reminds her that they are her friends, making him remember the time spent with her. Diablo stops her from storming the Elven Kingdom alone, as it will risk the Demon King escaping. He says that Rem is two of one who summoned him into this world. He asks if she requires the power of the true Demon Lord. Rem would do anything, even freaky things, to gain his strength. Alicia also wants to come with them despite affecting her status as an Imperial Knight. On the other hand, Kira chains her sister to the wall to fulfill his fetishes. He reveals that the flute is a secret elven artifact passed down over ages. He played an exclusive tone only elves can hear that has a magic spell. Now he can override her thoughts to make her say anything of his desire. First, he asks what orders Diablo gave her. She says he didn't give her any orders, forcing Kira to use the flute. Eventually, Shera reveals he ordered them to shake hands and smile. Kira thinks she is lying, but her persistence proves the truth. Suddenly, a giant explosion occurs in the middle of the forest and the shockwave reaches Kira. He ignores it like a gas leak in the house and unleashes a slime. Shera knows the slime will eat her flesh, but he claims it feeds on fabric. She can understand why Kira would want to remove her clothes. Kira spills the obvious, saying he will fill her tunnel with his vanilla juice to make a baby. This met job of a brother enjoys watching his slime eating the fabric from her racks. She screams for help as the slime burns her skin. At that moment, Diablo and his party tear into the tent. Kira advises them to learn some manners about entering a room. They shouldn't barge in when the prince is fulfilling his royal duties. Diablo thinks he is a truly sick brother, but Rem just hears the part about duties. Diablo regrets not following his guts and stopping her from leaving. Using the scythe, he breaks her chains and covers her body. Kira is pissed off at them for ruining his fun. He goes outside screaming like a noisy brat to ask if his men are on a pee break. Unexpectedly, the forest is with his men on the brink of death. He tries to pull that international issue card, asking if Diablo wants a war with the Elven nation. Diablo straight up says no, since most of his forces are on a pee break. They only want to know about Shera's decision without a flute fudging with her mind. However, Kira casts his mind manipulation spell, forcing her to repeat the same bullshit as earlier this morning. Diablo doesn't lose his cool and warns him that his plan will fail. Unexpectedly, he commands her to use the enslavement collar to express her true feelings without any outside magic intervention. The slave magic shatters Kira's control, allowing her to speak freely. With tears running down her cute face, she clarifies and says her party is more like family. Kira doesn't like the ending of this plot. and Sogi threatens to wipe everyone out with the elven nation's secret weapon. Diablo, being the demon lord, can't refuse a challenge. As he steps forward, Kira gladly summons the four-headed Hydra to destroy the world. He lets out an evil laugh, which honestly is just bad voice acting. Kira will destroy the world if Shera doesn't carry his baby. In the meantime, Diablo doesn't recognize the summon from Cross Reverie. Shera tells him to run, claiming that even the true demon lord can't defeat it. The forest Hydra expands, revealing 4 different colors on its belly side. The whack-job prince orders it to kill his party, but the Hydra tells him to shut the fudge up with the tail wag. Diablo mocks his taming skills and suggests Kira feed him his milk. At this point, he remembers that both the flute and the summon weren't present in the game. He thinks this is just a world similar to Cross Reverie, making it much more exciting. He casts an Earth-type magic Heaven's Fall to smash its head to bits. Unexpectedly, the Hydra regenerates its head quickly, an obvious move on its part. Diablo thinks there might be a glitch in the system. The Hydra attacks with its wind element dragon's breathe, not giving him much time to react. Judging from its fighting style, he thinks the dragon has 2 more abilities aside from Wolverine's regeneration. However, his guess turns out false when the dragon simultaneously attacks with 4 elemental dragon breaths. He is overwhelmed by its abilities, but Shera informs him that Hydra's core is his main weakness. The dragon will return to its crystal form if Diablo destroys it. Kira is happy her sister remembers school stuff from 6th grade and not him receiving forced fan service. He conveniently rants, revealing the core moves around his body. Diablo doesn't care much for his wiki description as he sneaks underneath a monster and blows it to bits. Upon seeing his summon in liquid form, Kira asks which hood does he belong to. The condescending "I am going to fudge you over" tone takes charge of him as Diablo is about to cast the final spell. Suddenly, Shera comes from the back and holds his arm. She hates her brother more than anyone. However, he made her smile when they were children. Kira scuffs arrogantly and runs the other way. Unexpectedly, Galford appears on the scene, chopping his head off. Shera lets out a scream, expressing her guilt. Galford removes his invisibility spell to unveil his army. He doesn't understand why Diablo would go this far just to let Kira live. He claims Kira waged war by invading their territory, and so he can't complain about being dead. He orders his men to eliminate the elves hiding in the forest. Diablo realizes he was planning to take over Greenwood by manipulating him into fighting on his behalf. Unexpectedly, Galford casts a barrier spell on Diablo beyond his Cross Reverie knowledge. He claims it is a spell to tame high-level monsters. He tries to break through it, but an electric shock hurts him. Alicia takes the side of the righteous and raises her sword against Galford. He grins at her, saying a lying underground knight is useless against her. However, she plans to fight him all alone. In one instant, he slices her sword in half and asks which sword she will use. Diablo, judging by his movement, realizes Galford has surpassed human limitation. He is beyond level 100 for sure. At this point, he knows that everyone will get butchered if the barrier is not broken. With no choice left, he senses the flow of magic much less complex than the slave collar to break the barrier. Galford realizes not killing him on the spot was a big mistake. Diablo knows he wants to wear him out before attacking the elves. Legendary in his own mind, Galford claims it is called strategy, but adventurers won't understand. After insulting each other as per tradition, Diablo draws first blood with an explosion spell. However, Galford negates the spell and counters with his martial arts skills. Diablo evades fatal strikes but gets scratched on the arms. He jumps back to increase the distance, as it is an ironclad rule that sorcerers can't fight nearby. Unfortunately, Galford is the type who doesn't give his opponent some breathing space. While evading the strikes, Diablo sets a trap spell that triggers like a mine. Galford claims it has been 30 years since someone injured him. He has spread the spell around the area to deal slow and steady damage. But Galford's martial arts go beyond his imagination, forcing Diablo to freeze him in place. He assumes the battle is done. However, Galford breaks the ice and attacks during Diablo's skill recoil. Just as his sword tip is about to slash his neck, Diablo casts a dual magic spell Omit and lightning bullets to deliver fatal damage. He couldn't have predicted that Galford learned absolute defense martial arts, allowing the user to attack perfectly. His last attack was Heat Sonic, a skill learned at level 120. By far, he is the most powerful opponent Diablo has come across. Unexpectedly, Galford asks him to deliver the final blow because he's still alive and kicking. Diablo doesn't want him to get fixated on him, and so he intimidates him with the signature Demon Lord vibes. He was so weak that his interest was lost in the fight. He knows Galford put all his might into the last attack. No doubt he would have won the match if his opponent was normal. However, Diablo claims to have calculated the distance precisely for his next attack, making him no threat. Despite his explanation, Galford claims his report to the king might contain some nasty things about his party. Honestly, Diablo and the others don't know why this guy is hell-bent on dying. Maybe it is one of those samurai things. Still, Diablo gets taken aback by his logical point of view. However, Alicia comes to the rescue, affirming that his report won't reach the king. Galford still thinks killing him would be the best idea, but the Demon Lord isn't having any of that. He will take him anytime, any day. However, if Galford attacks one of his possessions, then he and his entire land will be turned to ashes. On that note, the mess with the Elven Kingdom ends. Rem takes healing potions from Diablo for the injured elves. In the meantime, he joins Shera to help her through this tough time. No one hated Kira more than her, but she never thought that things would end like this. She feels that a part of her has been lost. The city continues to flourish, not knowing they were about to be the next Hiroshima, but due to a Hydra. Alicia returns to the capital and reports to the king, while Rem clears things out with Celestine. Meanwhile, Diablo is out of MP and motivation to do anything. Sylvie brings him liquor that restores magic power to make up for Galford not paying them for the quest. Unexpectedly, the Demon Lord can't hold his liquor. He accidentally does unexplainable things to the little bunny guild master, tarnishing her reputation forever. Meanwhile, a paladin brutally massacres an entire village of Demon Lord worshippers in the name of salvation. He thinks mortals are selfish creatures who should be wiped out. He believes there is no sight more beautiful than people's guts. On the other hand, Alicia returns to the capital and reunites with her church lady friend, who probably does OnlyFans on the side. She cares for Alicia's health and asks her to take time off. However, she reminds her that Imperial Knights, especially the females, are meant to provide non-stop fan service like cars on GTA V radio. Suddenly, she overhears the Paladin Saddler's sword scraping against the ground. The two exchange pleasantries, talking about Alicia's successful mission in Galford City. She quotes the king's words and says the issue of Greenwood has been closed. Afterward, Alicia asks if Saddler hates mortal races. He doesn't hate mortals, instead loves them for being the descendants of God's chosen ones. However, he hates when they worship the Demon Lord rather than God. Alicia plans to return at Diablo's side. Unexpectedly, the priest prophesied the return of the Demon King, and so Saddler is also going there to investigate the revival of the Demon King. Meanwhile, Diablo and his girls are chilling in the forest. Rem teaches Shera how to summon a familiar without getting enslaved. After pouring her juices into the rock, she successfully summons a turkey-looking bird with the ability to sync eyesight. However, Rem claims the amount of magic sucked out of you makes it inefficient to use for longer periods. Still, Shera makes a contract with it. He's the only one who doesn't believe her summon is useless. To prove it, Diablo tosses a coin in the air with force. Obviously, Shera and Rem can't see where the heck it went, but he tells the oversized elf to sync her sight with the bird. She feels like soaring through the sky like a real bird. Eventually, the bird locates the coin opposite the forest. Diablo tells her to take the shot using the bird's eyes. She gets the mark, proving that her summon is far from useless. Now she can shoot without seeing her targets. Diablo is just glad his Discord friends told him about this hack before getting Isekai'ed by two women. Suddenly, Shera gets weird and starts sniffing the bird. Rem doesn't even want to know what's going on in her mind. However, Shera claims the scent is not the bird's. She bluntly asks Rem about her bath status. Naturally, she gets defensive, saying the sweat is from her overgrown peers. Shera forced her to take a bath together. They both get commando, making Diablo's tool rise. They ask him to strip down, but the Demon Lord tells them to fudge off. As they get into the bath, Diablo takes shelter behind a rock. He hears the girls licking each other and playing with their peers, but doesn't have the balls to look. Moments later, he hears Rem saying, "You are fallen," forcing Diablo to leave his shed. Adelbert observes Rem and concludes she houses the soul of the Demon King. Shera isn't in the loop, so her mind is confused as hell. She asks Rem to fill her in on the details with those puppy eyes. Rem takes the entire afternoon explaining the whole plot twist to her. She didn't want to burden Shera with the truth, especially after her brother's death. She hugs Rem tightly and wants to help her. Adelbert tells Diablo that the extraction ritual will cause no issues to Rem. The Fallen will treasure her as the mother of the Demon King. However, Diablo is skeptical about trusting a white-haired chick with cosplay. Ultimately, Adelbert offers to teach him the ritual, claiming the Fallen will not interfere with them. At this point, he doesn't understand his next move. Both his and Adelgard's motives are aligned for a change. However, releasing Rem from her torture is equally important. They agree to meet at the Star Tower in 3 days, where Diablo will perform the ritual without any Fallen sticking their nose inside Rem. 2 days later, they sit down to talk about their plan for the ritual. Unexpectedly, Alicia enters the restaurant and asks them to return to the inn. On their way, she reports that a paladin over level 100 is lurking in the city. Diablo realizes this guy must be equal or stronger than Galford. She reveals the worst part about Sadler, it's his methods of killing those who worship the Demon King. He makes his victims confess their crimes before offering them. For now, she believes staying inside is the best course of action. They turn into an alley only to find Sadler and his men waiting to welcome them. He wants to know about Alicia's like he's her sugar daddy. She doesn't care for his opinions and tells him about her friends. Sadler introduces himself and asks about Diablo. His mind is like Rainbow in reverse, but picking a fight before the ritual is stupid, and so he acts normal and claims to be the demon lord from another world. Crap, he thinks that was too normal. Sadler laughs at the adventurers, assuming they have jokes. However, anyone joking about demon lords should die. Rem speaks up, telling him to mind his own business. Sadler is pissed off that a woman is telling him what to do, which is justified. And so he casts a spell, forcing her to prostrate. Sadler claims is a punishment from the gods. Diablo is in a pickle, knowing there weren't any punishments in the game. He focuses on Rem's neck and realizes it is a simple magic trick. Sadler punishes those innocent fools for refusing to believe in God's mercy. He casts Cement Block, a simple earth spell that works like Medusa on Diablo. Unbeknownst to him, the magic gets reflected, turning him to stone. He claims the magic will wear off depending on the user's magic ability. Alicia asks if it's okay to let him leave alive. Naturally, Diablo will deal with him if Sadler comes back. In the meantime, Adelbard waits for them at the Star Tower for the resurrection ritual. At night, Diablo and the girls join Adelgard at the Star Tower. He hopes they were not late for the ritual. She has prepared the magic circle and is ready to move. Diablo asks her to excuse his knight Alicia from suspicion, but she doesn't give one crap about it. In the meantime, Rem anxiously rants about a fallen getting inside her tummy. He asks if she wants to call it off, but Rem trusts him enough to finish the job. She lays down in the center of the magic circle, continuing to rant nonsense. Diablo tells her to chill the F out. However, she can't relax while giving birth to the world's most terrifying threat. Still, she asks Diablo to get it over with. Adelbert explains that he needs to reach deep into her soul and pour his magic power to fast forward the 9 months period. Diablo follows the instructions manual to have some fun with her. He senses the magic flow inside her body and creates a path to the Demon King. Diablo stops after a while, thinking it's enough. Unfortunately, Adelbert claims he's not even close. The Demon King won't just pop out of her with a simple push, otherwise Rem would have coughed it out. She tells him to create a hole in Rem's stomach and reach deep inside her soul. Shera asks if she is talking about slicing her organs out. Adelbert points at her tunnel and suggests he use the hole that's factory made. She knows it will be easy to reach with the perfect hand position, delivering a crazy shocker for Diablo. Even if he really wants to get in there, Diablo knows Rem would agree to it. Unexpectedly, she wants him inside her just as much. Shera claims Rem will enjoy this part and will be okay with Diablo. He rips her underpants apart and gets in there with his unmatched CPM. Rem screams and moans, asking if to go slow, but Diablo is lost in the motion. He reaches deep within her soul and pulls out the Demon King. A sudden surge of power reaching for the sky scares everyone. Adelver is happy like she lost her V card. The scary, shadowy Demon King with an awesome deep voice, making everyone doubt their decision. Suddenly, the flashy power-up vanishes with a bubble pop sound. As the smokes clear, the Demon Lord, who is minor similar to a runaway, asks who woke her up at this hour. Diablo and Adelbert are shocked to see this form of the Demon Lord. Adelbert introduces herself and expresses the joy of return. Diablo confirms if she really is the Demon Lord, you know, the type who can destroy nations. Upon receiving confirmation, he gives the Demon Lord intro and challenges her to a fight. Krebskull realizes he is the one with the tickle fingers who woke her up. She unleashes her magical power and claims Diablo will receive a brutal death. However, she calls timeout for a few minutes. She can't remember her dialogues after brutal death. Fudge it, she will just burn the world since that is what Demon Kings. But Krebskull is confused about what her role was in the world. Shera claims she can't just destroy the world on her periods, but Krebskull asks why not. Adelver tells the Demon Lord to activate noise cancellation when the mortals are talking. She can destroy the world, that is her birthright. But Krebskull reminds her that they are saying she can't kill whenever things get annoying, so she can't. Plus, she doesn't like to fight on an empty stomach. Unexpectedly, Shera befriends the literal Demon Lord with cookies. She remembers that her mission is to devour all the cookies in the world. She wants to return to the city and eat more cookies. Diablo carries Rem despite her insisting on walking. She can't believe 2 generations of her bloodline wanted to fight this little child who's eating cookies and vibing with Shera. I guess opposites attract in fantasy as well. Suddenly, the oldest of demons appears out of nowhere. He asks them to kill the mortals, celebrating her return. However, she yells at him like a brat and says her cookies are more important. Even the demon who served 3 demon lords is confused and thus asks Edelgard what the hell is going on. He explains that dark beings have killed mortals from the beginning of time. Since this demon lord doesn't want to kill mortals, it means the reincarnation was a failure. He will kill the demon lord to restart the reincarnation process. However, Edelgard blocks his attack, reminding him the demon lord's will is absolute. He wrecks her within a few moves and blames her for the incomplete demon lord. At this point, Diablo asks Alicia to take care of Rem. He takes out his wand and introduces himself as the true demon lord. Diablo casts flame bursts, yet the fallen's speed allows him to evade the attack. He casts a spell to stop his movement, followed by a 3-way attack. But the fallen still remain unscathed. His flash-like speed allows him to gain up on Diablo. He casts a lance spell, which is a one-shot kill. However, Diablo reflects the spell, allowing him to save his life. The fallen don't understand why Diablo possesses one of the previous demon lord's abilities. The reason is because Diablo defeated the demon lord in an in-game event and was rewarded with the ring. Instead of continuing the fight, the fallen attacks Krebskullm with full power. Unexpectedly, Rem pushes her aside, saving her lifelong enemy. In the meantime, Diablo casts Lightning Bullet to injure the fallen fatally. Krebskullm gives her praise to Rem for saving her, but Shera suggests her to use Arigato. On the other hand, the fallen realizes Diablo isn't an ordinary mortal. He retreats for the time being. Alicia asks if letting him escape was the right decision. Diablo could have chased him down, but he didn't want to risk putting everyone else in danger. After returning to the city, Shera and Krebskullm, who is nicknamed Clem, share a room with Diablo. The two of them get very naughty to fill him with magic. Within a few seconds, they climax, not being able to hold back. At the same time, Alicia thinks of using the demon lord to wipe out mortals and restart the world. After being fully received, Shera and Clem storm the street with their new cringe cookie song in alphabetical order. Clem asks Rem to join their song, but she's in her own world while Alicia is giving off the villain creepy eyes. In the cafe, Diablo explains the entire situation to Celestine, wanting to know her thoughts. She can't decide whether to comment on a demon lord being resurrected or her weird obsession with cookies. Nonetheless, she tells Diablo to be happy that she isn't burning the whole world to ash. She also congratulates Rem for getting freedom without dying. On their way back, Shera looks back and notices that Rem, Clem, and Alicia are missing. They rush back to the inn, hoping to find them there. However, the girls are not at the inn. Diablo tells Shera to stay put in case they come back. In the meantime, he will search for them in town. He doesn't know why his chest is pounding like crazy. On the other hand, Alicia takes Clem and Rem to a suspicious alley. She only wanted to take Clem at first, but Rem will prove to be a good decoy. She reveals her true colors, explaining that a fallen priest informed her of a way to revive the true demon lord. Clem threatens to burn her alive. Unbeknownst to her, Alicia has a fetish for being tortured and forced into fan service. She will feel lucky to be the first human killed by her excellency. Shocked, Rem realizes she was the one who allowed Gallic into the city. Alicia confirms her suspicion, claiming Gallic was just a nutjob who was begging to be manipulated by a hottie like her. Moments later, Sadler shows up at the scene looking for Alicia. She switches characters and reports that her undercover boss movement helped catch the demon worshippers. She also blames Rem and his group for kidnapping the children. He had suspected their group was up to no good. Rem doesn't wait around to get pumped by them and summons her familiar. Unexpectedly, his men form a human shield to get smashed like a beef burger. Sadler claims that his men are ready to enter heaven at all times. Plus, protecting him is like protecting God. He destroys the familiar beats and captures Rem with the same magic as before. On the other hand, Diablo runs around the city with a feeling of suspension. He wishes that his natural instincts are wrong and something didn't happen. In the evening, Rem wakes up in a cage with Clem by her side. She gives her a cookie to deal with starvation. She heard from Alicia that Rem, her mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother suffered because of her. But still, Rem saved her despite all that. She deserves the biggest loyalty award in the world. Rem gently claims it was not loyalty. She doesn't even know the reason for saving her. She doesn't want her to go. Clem understands why Rem and her family would hate her, since a life without freedom is not life at all. Rem realizes that Clem was also imprisoned for the same amount of time as her family. They decide to stick together instead of fighting. However, she makes Clem promise to never lose herself and goes numb to killing the mortal races. As their conversation comes to an end, Sadler's men take her inside a church and change Rem to the wall. Rem continues to plead not guilty. However, Sadler is hell-bent on giving her salvation. Sadler is so full of himself that he thinks of himself as Jesus, fighting for human salvation. He will remove evil parts of Rem to allow her ascension into heaven. Instead of crying on deaf ears, Rem asks Alicia about her stupid goals. She quietly slips away from the church without answering her questions. Meanwhile, Diablo spends the whole day searching for them without any clues. He barges into the Adventurers Guild with a tense look. The entire guild stops his party to listen to him. However, Diablo knows asking for a favor in his Demon Lord vibe will make them resent him. But he can't talk normally. Thankfully, a kid soon comes running, revealing that his friend saw Rem and a little child being taken by the paladins. Upon learning of their location, he thanks the kids and rushes outside. Emil asks Sylvie if Diablo just thanked the kid. He plans to help him look for Rem too. On the other hand, Galford learns of a fallen army outside the city being led by Edelgard. He orders his men to report the situation to Celestine and strengthen the barrier. Back at the church, Sadler inflicts damage on Rem. Clem keeps asking her permission to kill him, but she reminds her of their promise. He attacks Clem, revealing her identity as a fallen. As the men try to strike her, Rem breaks her chains and moves her out of the way. In doing so, she gets slashed by a sword and receives a fatal injury. Sadler keeps tormenting her, which infuriates Clem. The scene activates her true Demon Lord inheritance, forcing her to unveil her true form. Firstly, she kills Sadler and destroys the church, telling Diablo that he's too late. Shera joins him outside and reveals what had happened in the church. He gives her healing potions to save Rem, while he will find a way to save Clem. The oldest demon and Edelgard unite outside the city to welcome the return of the true Demon Lord. Although he doesn't know why a chick is walking like she's at Fashion Week. Alicia claims credit for the Demon Lord's resurrection. She manipulated Rem into becoming her friend, then offered her. The surge of hate allowed Clem to transform. Still, Celestine is determined to keep the barrier intact even if the Demon Lord is on her period cramps. On the other hand, Sylvie reports the situation to Galford. He tells him to stay away from Clem's casting circle because the true Demon Lord Diablo is working on it. Meanwhile, he tries to make her remember time spent with him and Rem. Nonetheless, he will save her and Rem at the same time. But first, he must restrict the area of effect to avoid destroying the barrier in the city. While dodging her punches, Diablo sets up his magic circle secretly. Unexpectedly, her punches leave volcanic craters, even if they are easy to evade. Suddenly, Clem casts Darkness Breath, a pure elemental attack, forcing Diablo to cast Volcanic Shield. She doesn't wait for the attack to finish and sneaks in from above. Clem casts a lightning bullet, but it is much more powerful. Luckily, Diablo's magical reflection helps him survive. However, Clem's own magic defends his pretty height to sustain damage herself. In the meantime, Shera wastes all the healing potions on someone with no jugs. Seconds later, she regains her consciousness to Shera's button in her mouth. Rem informs her that Alicia is the culprit behind the entire mess. She was plotting to resurrect the Demon Lord and destroy mortal races from the start. She tells her how Alicia made Clem feel hate, forcing her to transform into a true Demon Lord. She glances at the empty bottles and asks what those are. Shera reveals they were all the potions Diablo had on him, meaning he's fighting without any way of recovering. Meanwhile, Diablo gets hit by a powerful punch. Plus, he can't recover due to 0 potions. Still, he continues placing magic circles around the area while dodging her attacks. Clem attacks the girls on the side. However, Emil uses his body as a shield to save them. He informs Diablo that the girls are at a safe distance. On that note, Diablo casts the 13th magic circle to activate his grand magic with all elemental attacks. Emil stands there in awe watching the fire show. He pushes him to the side, otherwise Emil would be a dead guy with fake ideology. The attack deals a lot of damage to Clem, running her casting circle. However, isn't enough to stop her entirely. A completely committed shut-in gets summoned to another world with the same Demon Lord stats and appearance from his favorite game. Due to his continuous grind, Takuma had become the strongest character in that game who could challenge anyone. This allows him to reflect the enslavement spell onto the girls, and thus getting his forced fan service. But women don't come without a prize. Diablo is forced to deal with domestic issues of the girls. One is an elf royalty who is being constantly haunted by her family. The other one is the host of the literal Demon King's soul, so that is pretty self-explanatory. On top of that, you must spread the name and fear of the Demon Lord through the lands by completing a quest. Spreading fear is just a front as he needs cash to survive. All of these problems force the shut-in Demon Lord to come out of his shell.